Hi, after looking over the discussions and seeing sort of your initial thesis statements and plans, I feel like I've missed an opportunity to communicate some things I need to communicate with you. So I want to review a couple of guidelines regarding the essays and sort of in your thinking about the structuring. So I just wanted to review, first of all, that your paragraphs should have a certain structure. And this is in 1A. You normally would have something like this, like a pie paragraph. This is called a T paragraph structure. It starts with a topic sentence, explanation, evidence, and analysis. And each of your paragraphs should look like this. For this essay, since you are going to be dealing with multiple stories, except for option 7, where you are dealing with a story and a article, for all the other options, you will be having to deal with at least one other, at least 2 stories in each paragraph. So it's really important that you follow this structure as you go through. So if you were doing a comparison, and again, this is just with 2 stories, you'll be dealing with 3. Not all body paragraphs have to have all 3 stories in them. However, you don't want to just have a paragraph with just one story. What happens when you do that is that you end up summarizing too much of the story. You need to assume we've all read the stories and you are just giving enough background for context before you start making your points and analyzing. So for instance, if you had a structure here where you're talking about point of view and self-awareness with Tia and Spurgeon, you might have a topic sentence that has both of those, and then an explanation of how their differences in self-awareness relate to their self-love, evidence from Ant of the Self, and then transition, evidence from speaking in tongues, and then your analysis. Okay, self-awareness through point of view can lead to greater resistance about internalized depression. That's just like an idea of a structure. What I noticed a lot of is a lot of you were posting that you're planning on doing solid paragraphs with just one story, and that's not going to work. So you need to restructure that. And that's my fault for not being clear about it. So don't worry about the rest of those. I just wanted to show you those 2 slides. So it's really important that you think about that this essay is going to has to have analysis, and in order to do that you should have to show relationships between the characters, the stories, and the connections. So for instance, if you were talking about internalized depression and discussing how religion does that, you might have speaking in tongues and every tongue shall confess, or what's the other one that has religion, or even Spurgeon mentions religion a little bit, and then you might have more than one story that has that. If you talk about sexual acts, or losing sexual innocence, you might have speaking in tongues, and then you might also have some of these other stories like geese, or every tongue shall confess. And if those are in the same paragraph, you can make interesting connections between them. If they're separated, the connections aren't very clear and they're spread apart, and we lose that sense of the contrast that you need to bring up. So I'm really looking forward to reading your essays. Again, I apologize for not making that clear. And finally, I wanted to remind you that you are going to exchange your drafts through peer review. For you to get graded, I'll go in and I can see in each group your discussions. So use a discussion within the group to share the drafts. You could do it links, like a Google Doc links if you put it in share mode, or you can upload the drafts as files, and then give each other full, complete feedback. Okay, so everyone should do 2 or 3. If you have a large group, a couple of you have groups of 4, you could do 2 of your group members. If you have a group member that's MIA, like totally not responding at all, by tomorrow, let me know, and then I will contact him or her. Okay, hope you're all doing well, and I'm catching up with my grading slowly, and I look forward to reading your draft soon. Thanks.